I've seen many iPhones released over the past few years, and every time Apple announces a new iPhone now, it's basically just minor upgrades. Maybe they'll change the camera layout, maybe they'll add different color options, maybe we will actually get a good feature like USB-C every once in a while. But for the most part, when Apple releases a new iPhone, nothing really changes. However, there is one iPhone released back in 2020 that I feel like was a major upgrade and what I consider to be the minimum for a modern iPhone 2024, and that iPhone is the iPhone 12. Now, don't get me wrong, the iPhone 12 is still a fairly old iPhone. It's 4 years old, but I'm going to do a video here showing how it performs, how old the battery life is, how old things like the camera are, and I'm going to show you that this phone still holds up really well in 2024. The iPhone 12 on iOS 17 still runs perfectly fine. I don't notice any issues or any slowdowns while using iOS 17 on the iPhone 12. And even up until October of this previous year, I was using an iPhone 12 as my main iPhone, and it still held up perfectly fine for me. The battery life was just about enough to get through me today, and performance-wise, I didn't have any issues whatsoever with it. But one thing I do think makes this phone feel kind of slow is the display refresh rate. So the iPhone 12, this display refresh rate can go up to 60 Hz, whereas in the iPhone 15 Pro that I bought upgrading from my 12, the display refresh rate is 120 Hz, and it's a noticeable difference how much smoother the display on my iPhone 15 Pro feels compared to an iPhone 12. But that is a Pro model iPhone feature, and the minimum phone you need to buy to get that is an iPhone 13 Pro, which is pretty expensive. Now, one thing I know a lot of you are curious about is iOS 18. And this phone is going to get pretty much every single feature iOS 18 has, except for the new AI features. And this kind of sucks, but in order to get the new Apple AI features that are coming out in iOS 18, you need to have an iPhone 15 Pro or iPhone 15 Pro Max. And the reason why is Apple has these AI features processed through the internal chip of the phone. And apparently they consider the iPhone 12, the iPhone 15 even, and the iPhone 14 is not powerful enough to run their onboard AI processing. And then just to give you a general idea here of how long this phone will last with updates, I'd say you're going to get about another 3 years or so of the latest iOS updates, and then about another 2 years of app support updates after that. So in reality, if you're buying this phone around the time I'm making this video, July 2024, it's likely going to last you probably about 5 years. Another thing that I really need to include here with a 2024 review is battery life. And battery life on this, Apple advertises it as 17 hours of video playback. However, that's not really realistic on how these phones are used on the daily. But using this on the daily, I'd say battery life is just about enough to get you for the day. And on days you do use the phone a bit more, you may have to use low power mode. It's not as great as maybe something like the iPhone 13s or the iPhone 14s. But as long as you're buying this used and you look for an iPhone 12 that has at least 85% battery health or more, I think you're going to be just fine. And if you do have to replace that at some point, it's $95 to do it from Apple. And then something that's kind of new with this phone, or actually kind of old when you really think about it, is this boxier design that kind of gives it a more modern feel and look. And also too, this is the first iPhone to have 5G. So you have your 5G antenna right there, along with the kind of around the sides. And on the back, you have your main camera, you have your ultra-wide camera, and then this is also the first iPhone to have MagSafe compatibility, which is really nice. And then one thing that was a huge upgrade with the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 11 is the OLED display. And you'll notice two things with this display. The first one being when it displays black pixels, it turns off the individual backlight behind those pixels and gives you a much deeper, higher contrast, more vibrant color popping display compared to the iPhone 11. And also too, you'll notice the screen resolution on the iPhone 12 is a lot sharper compared to something like the iPhone 11 or the iPhone XR, which this is great for those who appreciate a high quality display. But I will tell you though, if you ever need to get the screen on this phone repaired, it's going to be a lot more expensive to do so. So if you're looking for a good phone for a kid that might break the screen, the iPhone 11 might be a better option. But if you appreciate high quality display, the iPhone 12 is a good option there. One thing that wasn't really much of an upgrade though with the iPhone 12 is the cameras. It still has the same 12 megapixel camera the iPhone 11 has, which can still get you pretty good pictures, and I will put examples up on screen of like what you can expect to get picture quality wise with the iPhone 12. It also brought a lot of the same features that iPhone 11 had, like 2x optical zoom, a wide angle camera, it has night mode photography that the iPhone 11 had, Basically, it's the same camera as the iPhone 11, but in a nicer phone. So you finally decide you actually want to go out and buy an iPhone 12. Well, you can find the fully unlocked version with 64 gigabytes of storage for $280 off of Amazon currently, which I have an affiliate link down below for that. But one thing I will recommend though is if you are looking for more storage, say like 128 gigabytes or more, maybe even consider an iPhone 13. And the reason why I mention that is the iPhone 13 has an upgrade base storage from 64 gigabytes to 128 gigabytes. And then I know some people are curious about too, what about the iPhone 12 Pros? And the iPhone 12 Pros are great because it has a more premium feeling stainless steel finish. You also get better cameras, but they're also more expensive. It's $100 more for the base iPhone 12 Pro and $170 more for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And in my opinion, the iPhone 12 Pro isn't much different compared to the iPhone 12. The iPhone 12 has all the features people are going to care about, but the iPhone 12 Pros just, feel a bit more premium, and I guess with the Pro Max you get a bigger screen. And then on the cheaper end of the spectrum, you could go down to like an iPhone 11 or an iPhone XR. And again, I think these phones are great for a grandparent or a kid just because they're more repairable and they're cheaper to maintain. However, in my opinion, if you're a person who cares about quality, I think it's better to just stick with the iPhone 12 because of that nicer display. But that's just my opinion. Overall, the 5G connectivity, the modern design, the OLED display, and the MagSafe charging make the iPhone 12 what I'd like to consider the minimum iPhone now in 2024 to get you a modern iPhone experience. But I am curious though, what do you guys think of the iPhone 12? Is it better to stick with the iPhone 12 or go down to something like an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 13? I'm really curious to hear what you guys will put down in the comments below. But anyways, feel free to check out some of the other iPhone review videos I have. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.